there's a psychological obstacle here. There's a psychological blockage, isn't there, to the idea that we just don't need it. What do we get for £500 million? What do we actually get? This is research from the pressure group Republic saying that the real cost of the royal family to taxpayers is £510 million a year. There'll be some room for manoeuvre in the margins here, but the central thrust of the findings is solid. That's nearly 6 times more than the £86 million of state funding from the annual sovereign grant. This is anti-monarchy campaigners who put this together. What do we get? Well, and if you're from outside the United Kingdom, that's another interesting. What do we get for £500 million? Is it good value for money? 0345 6060 973 is the number you need. So I've asked you 3 questions. The first is, what would you do? What should it look like? The second is, what this obstacle to abolition, what's that actually about? And the third, and I think arguably the most interesting question, is what do we get for our money?
Hello, my dears. It's lovely to have you here with me today. Pull up a chair. Let's have a little chat. There's nothing quite like a warm cup of tea and a good conversation to get to the heart of things, is there? The other day, James O'Brien asked a question that's been rattling in my head ever since. What do we, the British public, actually get for the £500 million we spend on the royal family each year? It's a question that lingers, echoing in the quiet moments. £500 million. With that kind of money, you could build new hospitals in towns that desperately need them, fund thousands of nurses and teachers to care for our children and our sick, or finally fix the potholes that rattle our teeth and test our patience every morning. When you put it like that, the question becomes very real. It's about priorities, what we value as a nation, and where our money should go. These are choices that shape our future. This isn't about being unkind to anyone. It's about examining an institution at the heart of our country for 1,000 years and asking if it still fits with who we are today. O'Brien wasn't being malicious, just doing his job, holding power to account and asking us to think, to reflect on what matters most. So, let's pour another cuppa and look past the pomp and ceremony for a moment. What does this enormous sum actually pay for? Is it tradition, pageantry, or something more tangible? And why does it feel so uncomfortable, so un-British to even ask? Is it loyalty or just habit? Let's be brave and have a proper look together. After all, every good conversation starts with a question. When people talk about the cost of the monarchy, they're usually referring to the sovereign grant, the official sum set aside each year to fund the royal household's work and upkeep. But James O'Brien's headline figure, £510 million, comes from Republic, a campaign group that argues the true cost is much higher than what's reported in government documents. Their calculation goes beyond the sovereign grant, digging into the hidden and indirect costs that often escape public scrutiny. They include security, by far the largest expense, covering police protection at royal residences, security details for every public appearance, and round-the-clock surveillance. Travel is another major cost. Royal tours, private jets, helicopters, and official vehicles, all funded by the taxpayer, add up quickly. Then there's the lost income from the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster, vast estates that generate millions in profit for the King and Prince of Wales each year. Republic argues that, without a monarchy, these profits would flow directly into the treasury, benefiting the public purse instead of the royal family. Supporters of the monarchy, however, push back. They say security is a necessity for any head of state, and that royal tours help generate goodwill, boost tourism, and open doors for British trade abroad. They argue that the monarchy brings intangible benefits that are hard to measure in pounds and pence, and that the costs are justified by the value the royals provide. The truth? It's complicated. Official figures, critical investigations, and the reality buried in complex accounting all tell different stories. What's clear is that the real cost of the monarchy is more than just a single line in the national budget. It's a question of transparency, national priorities, and what we expect from our institutions. The debate continues, with both sides presenting passionate arguments and plenty of numbers, but the real conversation is about what kind of country we want to be. In the end, the monarchy's cost is about more than money. It's about values, accountability, and the future of Britain itself. Here's the fascinating bit. When it comes to the monarchy, there's an unspoken rule in the air. It's almost as if the topic is surrounded by an invisible force field, making it difficult for people to approach honestly or openly. Why is it so hard to talk about the monarchy? Even among friends or family, the subject can make the room tense, as if everyone's suddenly walking on eggshells. O'Brien pointed out a psychological barrier. The moment the subject comes up, a voice in our head says, "Ooh, no, we don't go there." It's like a reflex, a learned response that's been passed down for generations. The monarchy is wrapped in history and emotion. For many, it's a symbol of stability in a changing world, a living link to the past that offers comfort and continuity. The late Queen was a symbol of duty and continuity. Questioning the institution felt like a personal attack on her, and on Britain itself. For decades, she embodied the nation's values, making criticism feel almost taboo. Republic wants us to see the monarchy as a political institution, not a sacred relic. They argue that reluctance to debate is undemocratic, and that open discussion is essential for a healthy society. But they're pushing against centuries of cultural conditioning. The monarchy is woven into the fabric of British identity, celebrated in rituals, ceremonies, and even everyday language. O'Brien's point, until we acknowledge this mental obstacle, we can't have a real conversation about the monarchy. It's not just about facts or opinions, but about confronting our own emotional responses. Criticism is framed as an attack on tradition and patriotism, making calm debate nearly impossible. People feel personally invested, as if their own identity is being questioned. The result? Emotion trumps evidence, and the question of value for money gets lost in the noise. Rational arguments are drowned out by passionate defences and deep-seated loyalties. Until we get past this, we can't truly weigh what the royal family gives us, or costs us. Honest discussion is the only way to understand the monarchy's real place in modern Britain. It's time to talk openly, to set aside our fears and finally have the conversation we've been avoiding for so long. For many, the royal family is more than a budget item. It's the living embodiment of our history. Seeing the king on the balcony is seeing a link to 1,000 years of continuity. This connection is emotional street parties, royal weddings, state funerals, shared experiences that bind us together. For some, criticism of the monarchy feels like an attack on cherished memories and identity. The pageantry, trooping the colour, state openings, are spectacles that define Britishness and attract millions of tourists. Supporters say this soft power projects Britain's unique image and generates more for the economy than the monarchy costs. For them, the answer to "what do we get" isn't a list of services, but a feeling, a sense of unity and belonging. The value is intangible, emotional, and to many essential to the nation's soul. That's why for some the monarchy is priceless. But is that enough? Then came a Channel 4 documentary, throwing fuel on the fire. It claimed King Charles and Prince William have profited by millions from the duchies of Lancaster and Cornwall. Vast estates run more like private corporations than public trusts. The profits aren't taxed like normal income, and the public pays for royal security and upkeep while the royals accumulate personal fortunes. This raised the question, is there one rule for them and another for everyone else? The palace insists the duchies are managed responsibly and taxes are paid voluntarily, but the damage was done. The documentary planted doubt, making "what do we get for our money" even sharper, and adding, how much are they making for themselves? The debate shifted from public duty to private enrichment. Not everyone agrees with O'Brien. Jeremy Clarkson, for one, dismissed the debate as a storm in a teacup, whipped up by those who've always wanted to scrap the monarchy. His main argument: be careful what you wish for. Abolish the monarchy, and we'd need an elected head of state, a president. Clarkson jokes we could end up with President Farage or President Corbyn. A hereditary monarch, he argues, is at least neutral and above politics. He points to countries like the US, where presidents are divisive figures. Would a president really be an improvement? Would they unite the country, or just be another politician? For many, the monarchy is expensive and old-fashioned, but preferable to the turmoil of a republic. The debate shifts from the cost of the monarchy to the potential cost of the alternative. 500 million might sound like a lot, but is it a bargain compared to the price of change? It's a question of risk, tradition, and what we're willing to trade. So, after all this, what do we really get for our £500 million? The answer depends on what you value. If you prize tradition and identity, the monarchy is a bargain, a symbol of continuity and unity. If you value democracy and fairness, you might see it as an outdated privilege and a waste of public money. The debate is about more than numbers. It's about who we are and who we want to be. Are we defined by our past or by our future? Are we subjects or citizens? The most valuable thing may be the conversation itself. Finally asking these questions openly. Whatever your view, it's a debate worth having. Now I think I've earned another biscuit. You think on it, my dears. Just think on it.